giving us some updates. Thank you, Crystal, for hitting the record button. So we'll have director's office updates, and then I'll switch hats from facilitator to presenter, and myself, along with one of my co-managers on the SNAP policy team, Mayora Salar, who I see is here, we'll be sharing some important updates around the government shutdown, and then HR1 impacts SNAP benefits. And I wanted to just note that you are in the right meeting. This is the SSP partner meeting. We will be focusing on food this month, as it's been such a large topic around Oregon and around the US. So we wanted to make sure that we were delivering pertinent information to you all so that you have it to share with communities. And then next Thursday, a week early due to the Thanksgiving holiday, we will have our SNAP food partner meeting. So if you didn't get enough of us this week, you'll see some similar familiar faces at that meeting next Thursday. Okay, enough from me. If you all want to give your introductions in the chat, we'd love to learn about who's in the room. I'm going to just ask if you'd like to, your name, pronouns, organization, and your role. Again, just to learn about who's in this space with us today. And I see that Sandra's here. Sandra, is it you giving us updates today, or do we also have Yvonne?
We have Yvonne, and Yvonne has the update. So if we could give it a little bit, I know that she's planning on joining us.
Perfect, no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we might actually do, let's see, oh, there's Yvonne. I was a couple minutes ahead, which is really hard when you have such a tight schedule. So Yvonne, you are right on cue. Not to put you on the spot, but Yvonne Lopez, we have here from the director's office to give us some updates to kick off our meeting time.
Great. Thank you so much, Catherine. And good afternoon, everyone. Yvonne Lopez, she, her, pronouns. I am the service delivery deputy. And I don't know if we had an opportunity to introduce Sandra Valdivia yet. So if we have not, I would love to take this opportunity. Did we get a chance to do that?
No.
No, I think she was here briefly last month, but let's introduce her, please.
Great. Sandra, would you mind taking a minute to introduce yourself?
No, absolutely. Hello, everybody, everyone. My name is Sandra Valdivia. I am the interim deputy director for SSP. I use she, her, pronouns. And since I don't remember what I shared last time, let me just give a quick just a little bit about me. I've been working with the agency about 23 years. I started entry-level position and kind of have worked my way up the ladder. Previous to this position, I was a senior operations manager for Multnomah County District 2. And then previous to that, I was a program manager as well. So I have a little bit of experience under my belt, but definitely not any expert in any or all things. Anyways, thank you. I'll hand that back over to Yvonne.
Thank you, Sandra. I really do appreciate it. And please don't let her fool you. She's an expert in a lot of things. So we're excited to have her joining the team with Claire Seguin. I looked at the agenda and I see Miora here. Hi, Miora. So I know that she'll go over through many things of the SNAP world. So I'm going to leave that to her since she is the expert in that area. I did want to first just take a moment and just really appreciate and say thank you to everyone. I know that the last, few weeks have been difficult in our collective, the families that we serve collectively. And I have been really appreciative that in these times of uncertainty, everybody has, kind of stepped in to help support the families that we all serve collectively. So I just want to say a heartfelt thank you to you all. I know that many of our partners have been shouldering the burden of, the work with families connected to uncertainty around the food. And so really do appreciate everyone stepping in. I know collectively as a team, everybody has done that. And it's just really great to see when people, when all faced with a huge dilemma that we all had, how people come together to support the families that we serve. And we've seen that the families that came in, I was in, our director's office asked executive leadership teams to be in branches the first week of November to help support, families and questions that might be coming through. And some of the people that we serve had the most grace in times of uncertainty, and we're really, really kind to our, staff in the front desk, and always very spoke so highly of other community partners that had, helped them with needs in this time of need. So really just want to say a huge thank you. And then secondly, I wanted to share a little bit of the work that the agency is doing in terms of some reductions that we are having to work through, and that were submitted to the legislature this last Monday. The legislature has directed DHS, along with other state agencies, to prepare proposed reductions that equal 5% of the budget. Sometimes these exercises are exercises in this world of uncertainty. It feels more real this time around. And so with all the response to the recent, federal cuts, as well as, kind of the challenging state revenue forecasts that we all will be facing, the legislature and governor have decided and guided agencies to begin looking at budget reductions and cost saving measures. And so we have started to look at what would those cost savings measures look like for every program within the agency, including some hiring. We're going to be implementing some hiring pauses, as well as limiting, out-of-state travel and limiting in-state travel to that which is essential. And so in addition to that, we have, started to look at what would those budget reductions look like, by program. And so we recognize that this creates some uncertainty in addition to what we've already faced. And, we'll be working in the next couple of months. I believe Claire will be, coming more to this team to share what are some of our thoughts as we look at the agency requested budget for, the next couple of years, and what are some things that are happening that will be impacting that. I mentioned the hiring pause, but in addition to that, we are going to be probably looking at some positions that would be impacted by budget reductions. We are still working with our chief financial officer in terms of effective dates and what those might look like. And obviously, we as an agency want to take as much care as possible to ensure that our core work continues to, with families that we serve, continues to get done. So as the legislature has received, the list of reductions, there will be legislative days next month, and we will be working with the legislature in terms of what that looks like. Obviously, also the next revenue forecasts that are happening will help us, paint a better picture in terms of the fiscal outlook for the department in the coming months. One of the things that we are going to work through as these forecasts, the budget forecasts come into play. We're going to be using any kind of legislative days that we have, to work through what do the budget implications look like for the department. So we'll be using, like I said, legislative days next week, as well as the February short session, to look at what that may be. In addition to that, we're also trying to be responsive, as Mayora will share with you, to what does that look like to implement HR1 impacts, connected to all of this. So we find ourselves in this balancing act of, implementing changes while at the same time needing to be fiscally responsible with the budget forecast and what we have as an organization. So, I share all this without any very specifics because I believe Claire will be using partner meetings such as this to come and share our thoughts, especially for the self-sufficiency program of what that may look like. We'll be using all the programs, will be using platforms with their community partners. To look at what do those reductions look like and how they may be impacting our partners. So I'm going to pause there. I don't know if there's any questions or any thoughts that I could take back to Claire in terms of what would be helpful as she engages this team in those conversations.
Any questions for Yvonne while we have her?
Okay. If there isn't any questions, like I said, and if it's not already on the agenda, Catherine will want to make sure that we put that as part of the oncoming months for engagement with this team in terms of what do future budget reductions look like and how they may impact, particularly partners and the feedback that we may be able to get. So really do appreciate it. And I'm going to hold on for the updates from Mayora.
Wonderful. Yvonne, thank you so much. And I just made a note of that, and in our planning meetings for this partner meeting, we'll make sure that that is prioritized. Thank you. All right, so we're going to transition right into our federal response updates around the government shutdown and HR1, as Yvonne mentioned. And I already introduced myself, but I'm also going to real quick give the mic over to Mayora. Do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Absolutely. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. My name is Mayora Solar, and I manage the SNAP program. I have worked for ODHS for over 20 years and am a proud past recipient of both OHP as well as SNAP as a single mama. So proud to be here, proud to support the amazing team that's doing so much work to support eradicating and lessening hunger in Oregon. So thank you for allowing us to be here and take over your SSP community partner meeting for a little bit, given the heightened concerns around hunger. And I just want to share for folks who are used to only attending the food programs partner meeting, this meeting is recorded, unlike our other meetings. So if you feel uncomfortable with sharing or asking a question in a recorded environment, please feel free to send us an email. We'll make sure to get you answers. I know that we're in different times right now, so just want to protect your positions as well as keep you informed and supported. So thank you, Catherine.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Absolutely. And we will be plugging that food partner meeting a little bit later if you all aren't already attending it and want to start joining us in that space as well. Crystal, do you want to go ahead, and you're probably right on the tip of my tongue doing it right now. Go ahead and share that presentation. We'll pull up a PowerPoint just to keep us kind of on track. And looking at the time, right at 2:20, I think that's what our agenda says. So thank you all for being here. It's a it's a time right now. But what I mostly want to say to you all is happy end of shutdown day. It has been quite a November, and seems like things are changing often by the day, sometimes by the hour. And so we just appreciate you taking a moment, an hour really out of your busy schedules as you're engaging with community to hear from us, just some updates that we have to share around the shutdown. And then I'll share some shutdown updates, and then we'll pass back over to Mayora for the HR1 SNAP impact updates. So if we can go to the next slide, Crystal. And I just told you that we're going to sprinkle in some resources along the way, and then there should be time for some question and answer if you do have any. So November SNAP benefits have been issued in full. Governor Kotek directed ODHS to issue full SNAP benefits for November to all SNAP recipients in Oregon by the morning of November 7th, which was last Friday. I know it was mentioned in different spaces, but it was a different experience being a part of the SNAP policy team, seeing folks working through the night last Thursday to make sure that this could happen for our Oregon communities. And a couple of great pieces of news to share this week. One, all SNAP eligible individuals received their full SNAP benefit last Friday, as I mentioned. And grocery stores across Oregon were beautifully busy last weekend because of it. I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to just step in and see that, but what sometimes could be frustrating in any other situation, for it to be busy and the lines to be long, it brought tears to my eyes and couldn't have been a better sight to see in that moment last weekend. And then two, another piece of great news to share is that the government shutdown came to an end last night after the House passed the Senate passed funding package and our president signed the bill into law. And now our SNAP policy team is working hard to analyze the guidance we received this morning from FNS and to ensure that SNAP benefits will continue to be processed as usual. And I just want to emphasize that none of the federal actions that took place over this past week have had any impact on those who received their SNAP benefits last Friday, meaning that those benefits remained on the Oregon EBT cards until those individuals chose to use them, or they would eventually expire. And those benefits can be used as usual this month. And again, what a sigh of relief that has been this week. Crystal, you can go to the next slide. All right. So the emergency declaration from our governor is still currently in place. So just wanted to give you a couple updates, what the response has looked like to this emergency declaration. Our ODHS incident management team has been coordinating a statewide response to the food emergency. The governor's office has directed ODHS to distribute $1 million in emergency food assistance to be allocated among the 9 federally recognized tribes of Oregon. And then this funding is in addition to the $5 million being allocated to the Oregon Food Bank to support the broader food access efforts statewide. In addition to that, a statewide food donation campaign is underway, and it's continuing as an additional layer of support right now. And then with the emergency declaration also came an encouragement for communities across Oregon, really to continue supporting our food banks and pantries with donations, different ways of mobilizing together to help our community members with those additional food supports, especially in this time of need. And just want to echo what's been said already, but cannot say it enough. Just really want to say thank you to each of you and all of those who you represent within your organizations and your communities. It's because of you that there was enough food in a lot of pantries that would have otherwise not been there because of the additional support that either you help provide or you help to share the word that your community could help provide. And it really rang true for me. Just to give you a personal anecdote, last Thursday, really at the height of the tension of the food need, I had the opportunity to go to a local ODHS office in Southern Oregon and be a part of a free food event that was being held there. And I was talking with the local Oregon Food Bank partner there, the regional Oregon Food Bank. And I asked them just to try to paint me a picture of what you are seeing or what you're experiencing right now. And their quote was, "We're seeing a lot of food coming in from the community in this time of need. Like, I drop off a barrel for donations one day and need to pick it up the next because it's already full. Because of community donations, we've had enough to continue to give out right now." And that, I don't know that I was expecting that to be the answer that they gave, but it was heartwarming to hear that that is the way that our communities have been stepping up in this time of need. So again, a very, very heartfelt thank you. Next slide, Crystal. So what's not changing? ODHS is still open for business across the state. EBT cards still work as usual. People can still apply for benefits. SNAP benefits can be applied for online, by phone, in person, or by mail. And SNAP is, oh, I guess some of this isn't even pertinent anymore. But I guess what I want to say on this note is that EBT cards are working, and we're seeing a higher increase of theft on EBT cards. Mayora is going to get into a little bit of that, but within the minutes of this meeting, we're going to include a little bit of resource as our partners to help us to get some information out to folks on how they can protect their benefits. But especially as folks are receiving their benefits now, we want to make sure that they can hang on to them and they can use them. And it's unfortunate to hear that that is heightened with skimming right now. And next slide. And a couple resources, though, the shutdown has ended. I think what we are seeing in a lot of areas of the state is that, pop-up food markets have come up and this rise of need for food has come up, but really there's a rise for need for food for a lot of folks in a lot of areas outside of when a shutdown happens. And so we really just want to elevate some resources to make sure that if you are handing out information or sharing free food resources, that these can be included for folks in your communities. We've recently revamped, updated, and included more resources to our needfood.oregon.gov website to point folks to some easy to access free food resources. And then that second bullet point includes our free food events that ODHS specifically hosts on their ODHS office campus, or could be other places local in their community, but the ODHS is helping to host. Okay, and I think, let's go ahead and do the next slide. I think this is where I pass it over to you, Mayora. Yep.
Thank you. It's funny, I was just looking to see when we met yesterday to go over these slides. It felt like Monday. It was yesterday at 11, and already one of the slides is not as relevant. So welcome to our recent world. Over the last 2 weeks, things have been rapidly changing, and I'm so proud to be a part of a state and gubernatorial team that really, moves forward in confidence after getting a lot of research, opinions, and analysis, and centering hunger. So shifting away from the shutdown, we are shifting our work back as a team to implementing House Resolution 1. I do want to make sure that it's clear. I'm assuming all of you know, but we're choosing to use House Resolution 1 because of the descriptor and adjective that is included in the act. And I do want to make sure everyone is aware that OBBB is in fact HR1, and that when we're using messaging, people are aware of that, because it's very important to connect that these changes are moving forward because of that act. Going to go through a number of different impacts. I want to probably do this in reverse because I really want to focus on how it's going to impact the folks who have depended on SNAP to help meet their nutrition and health needs. So first, looking at the Oregon economy. So starting at the bottom right, a SNAP benefit dollar spent within our economy creates about $1.5 to $1.7 in our general economy. When folks are purchasing food through SNAP, there are people distributing the food, growing the food, transporting the food, stocking the food on the shelf at the market, bringing the food to a farmer's market. All of that creates economic growth within our state. So as SNAP dollars reduce in our state, we are going to see that economic reduction within those different sectors. Also, we'll see an increased demand for food banks, as we just saw pretty intensely because of the shutdown. Next, eligibility workload. So for ODHS in general, our policies are becoming more complex because of HR 1. Many of the lawmakers who created HR 1 don't necessarily understand SNAP regulations and how complex the sections in the law would make our program. And so there's going to be increased eligibility, new trainings that have to go out, and the difficulty of trying to make sure applicants and people receiving SNAP understand those changes. So that's another big impact to HR 1, or because of HR 1, I should say. Thirdly, upper right-hand corner, cost shifts to the state. So ODHS and all states are seeing a giant cost shift. So historically, SNAP administrative costs, which is contracts, buildings, translations, staff, programming in the WEN system, those were split 50-50 between the federal government and the state. Because of HR 1, they will be a 75 state, 25 federal split, which makes running the program in general much more expensive for states. Additionally, there is a shift in who is paying for SNAP benefits. Historically, the benefits have been paid 100% by the federal government. However, after HR 1, there is a stair-step approach based on a state's payment error rate. States have to contribute 5, 10, or 15% of their SNAP benefit amount based on their payment error rate of 6 or greater, 8 or greater, or 10 or greater percent. Many might think that might make business sense to have a state contribute if the program is not being run accurately, but I will share that included in a state's payment error rate are things like an error made by an applicant. So let's say that an applicant has a child support order and they've decided with their ex that instead of getting $800 a month in the direct child support, that they're going to allow that person to just pay $800 a month towards the child care bill. That is very logical, and many of us would not consider that income or report that as income when applying for SNAP. However, because of how Code of Federal Regulation is written, that would be an error because that $800 has to be counted as my income. So there are many confusing policies that even just generally people wouldn't understand, but those are counted against us. Also, if someone goes over their reporting limit and doesn't inform us, that if that case is pulled, that would be an error against the state. So it's not necessarily that states are administering the program inaccurately. Currently, about 60% of our payment errors are because of the folks who are applying for or receiving benefits. But a lot of that is because policies are very complex and life is very complex, and it is really hard to understand what all someone needs to report to the state and when to make sure their benefit amount is accurate. So these payment errors in all of the federal guidance, you will see they make it very clear it is not a measure of fraud. So states moving forward after HR 1, when the penalty starts, who have a payment error rate of 6% or greater, no matter who caused that error, will have to pay for a percentage of the SNAP benefits. And I will say, in Oregon alone, we issue about $1.5 billion of SNAP a year, and 5, 10, or 15% of that is quite a lot. We are working very hard to find ways to help people understand what they need to report to us and when, and to look at our system and see if we can help people to understand what to ask individuals when doing an interview or what to report when being interviewed to help people on both sides get us to a different payment error. And lastly, the biggest impact is the impact to individuals and families. HR 1 fully strips SNAP eligibility away from many groups of non-citizens who are here legally and before HR 1 were able to get food through SNAP. Their status has not changed before July 4th and after July 4th. What has changed is the law. In Oregon, we estimate about 3,000 people, whether they're a child, an elder, or someone with a disability, who will lose their SNAP benefits because of HR 1 and their non-citizen status. Because of that, we're working closely with different non-citizen community partner groups, as well as our refugee policy analyst crew, to make sure that we're understanding who's being impacted and how we can help support and make sure that information is shared out clear and early. The next big change happening because of HR 1 are the work rules. Work rules are being rolled out statewide. I believe I was a SNAP policy analyst maybe 8 years ago, 7 years ago, and at that time we were rolling out ABOD for the first time in a very long time. We have historically been able to waive all residents of a whole county who would have otherwise had to meet the ABOD work rules because of a lack of available jobs. The previous law supported a logic that if there simply are not jobs in an area, there is not a reason to hold folks accountable to meeting that 80 hours of work, either paid or unpaid, because sometimes in certain areas, there just weren't the businesses or places for people to work or volunteer. HR 1 has changed that policy. We are no longer, we meaning all states, territories, and districts running SNAP, are no longer allowed to waive an area based on lack of available jobs. An area must meet a 10% or over 10% unemployment rate to qualify for that waiver. In Oregon, there is not a single county that meets that unemployment rate, which means that unless people qualify under a different reason, also called an exemption, all adults ages 18 through 64 without a child under age 14 in their SNAP group, regardless of their relationship to that child, will have to meet 80 hours of work, paid or unpaid, each month to get SNAP for more than 3 months between now and December 31st of 2027. That is statewide. We will go into and have more documents with information, and there is also a link in this sheet, or this PowerPoint rather, that we will send out that goes into detail about the work rules and also contains a whole list of the many different ways that people can be exempt from meeting the work rules, including having a disability, being pregnant, being a student half-time or more, earning at least $935.25 gross a month. There's a whole list. And so it's so important that the community partners and individuals supporting people in Oregon become very accustomed to the list of exemptions. So if someone comes to you saying, I've lost my SNAP, you can go through that list. And if one of those items exists in their life, help them to understand how to report that exemption so that their SNAP can be reopened if it closed because of the work rules. Thank you, Catherine. I see you posted that. So those are really there's other changes that might reduce SNAP for some folks, but I wanted to, for the sake of time, really focus in on folks who are fully losing SNAP eligibility under HR 1. Next slide, please. So we had to catch up on implementation for HR 1 in October. So folks who applied for SNAP July 4th and after, who were not eligible for the amount that they received a notice in October. So by October 15th, people received a notice letting them know that their SNAP was either reducing or closing at the end of the month of October because of HR 1. That caught us up only to people who applied between July 4th and when we sent the notice. And so as this year progresses, when people update their case, either because they recertify or they report some other kind of a change, and we redetermine their eligibility, HR 1 will be taken into account when we run their eligibility. So between now and the next 9 months or so, HR 1 will be implemented to all cases in Oregon. Next slide, please. So shifting out of HR 1, following the shutdown, as Catherine said, we saw quite a few people being targeted after we were able to release November benefits. This is another place where community partners can absolutely help us. EBT cards are vulnerable regardless of where the money is coming from. This includes people who are released from Department of Corrections and have worked for however long they were incarcerated and have money on their EBT card. If that is compromised, people can steal the money that they have earned while being incarcerated. That includes SNAP benefits that are put on an EBT card. That includes TANF benefits, refugee benefits. I believe some of the Youth Experiencing Homeless Program direct cash transfer benefits are put on EBT cards. So as much as the word can be put out of how to make benefits safe, the better. So we implore you to please partner with us and help us get the word out that we've seen so many benefits stolen, and people can lock them so that no one can use their card online. People can lock them so no one can use their card out of state. People can also lock their card so that it can't be used while it's locked. There are many different ways to prevent theft, and as much as we can get the word out, the better, because we cannot, for SNAP, replace those benefits. TANF can do limited replacements, and I don't know about other programs, but for SNAP, when the benefits are stolen, they are gone for good. Beth, I can look at how many people have reported. That's really the tricky part, is that since we stopped being able to replace SNAP benefits, I think last December 20th, when the federal government halted that, people stopped reporting because reporting wasn't doing anything about their loss. So we can definitely share out in the minutes what we've received as reports. That's a great question. We also have links, and again, we'll send this out, but we have a wallet card, we have a flyer, and we have a brochure that we encourage you to print out, put in your office, and talk about if you have connection with folks and an opportunity to talk about EBT card safety. Next slide, please. And how am I for time? I'm assuming way past.
We're good. We have another 10 minutes till the meeting
Okay.
ends, so you're
Okay.
good.
So these are links. We have a federal changes website. The shutdown is done, but there's a lot of guidance going out for HR1 and other updates. So we're trying to make sure that there's one place folks can go to for federal changes. So when we send out the links, please bookmark that if you're curious about federal changes impacting ODHS programs. There's also the shutdown resources. That's probably not super necessary at this point, but I think we have another slide with our social media. If you'll move forward one more. We have also the Forward Together Oregon webinar. That's next Tuesday at 10. That's an amazing place for information. And if we have updates between now and then, because things are forever shifting, we would love to have you. That's a meeting that you have to register for. So don't be like me and just try to join the link on the day. Register in advance so you have that link for the meeting on your calendar. And then there's a SNAP or General Food Programs meeting. We have many different food programs that we support here, including CSFP, also known as, I'm trying to remember, it's basically for our elders. It's individuals 60 and up, I believe, who can get a specific food benefit. So it's a bit different. We also have the Emergency Food Assistance Program, or TFAP. So we cover a number of those different food programs in our meeting that will be on Thursday the 20th because of Thanksgiving. The next slide, please. And we have tried to make sure with our amazing comms teams that we get information out on all of our social medias. I was trolling our social media very early on the Friday morning that we issued benefits last week, and I think it posted around 6 or 7. So those are great places to follow or tag or peek at, because we're also trying to make sure that when we do mass communication, we also do that with social media, because that's such a popular place to get news in addition to our press releases. And I think that's our last slide. I could be wrong.
I think you're right.
Okay. Now questions.
Yeah, Beth, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm in the car, so I'm not turning my camera on. But I guess, first, I just want to say, I want to express gratitude to both the governor's office and all of you guys at DHS for making the full SNAP benefits happen in a very bold way, and in a way that was a ton of work for you all, and it was really important. So I want to start out by saying a huge thank you. And then I also wanted to ask I want to request that the agency convene a work group with advocates and clients to talk about both the payment error rate issue and also work requirements. Those are two areas that I think, even as Mayora, as you were just describing, we need collaboration between caseworkers and clients to make those new some of the systems that are being foisted on us for us to be successful. And I really, really think that the agency needs to be working with clients and advocates to make sure that that all ideas are considered and we get the best solutions we can get to. And then, if you don't mind, I just also wanted to ask, is there anyone who could tell me whether when the full benefits were issued on Thursday or Thursday night and Friday, did the folks who are the humanitarian immigrants who also have attained LPR status but haven't been LPRs for 5 years, did those people get benefits loaded onto their cards, or did they not?
I can check on that. I believe that given the guidance that we had at the time, or lack thereof, we made the decision based on our analysis at that time, which was early October. And as many of you know, we received FNS guidance on October 31st. So I can find out if the humanitarian immigrant status folks receive benefits or not. That's a great question.
And just to be clear, I know that some of them didn't, because if you just have refugee status, for example, then HR1 says you're not eligible anymore. But for people who have refugee status but also have LPR status, I think those people are still eligible. But I don't know if the system was sophisticated enough to issue those folks benefits.
I find that to be a different question. So if the second question is following the October 31st guidance, if that group of folks has been determined as eligible for SNAP, I can also get you that question, because when we had to identify who would get those closure and reduction notices in late September, early October, and took those actions when we sent notices out October 15th, and then that FNS guidance came out on October 31st. So there's been kind of a unfortunately untimely rollout of guidance. And so every time we get guidance, we have to circle back in and do new analysis. But I will, unless you want me to conflate those questions, I will take those as two standards. You know, who received benefits on November 7th, as well as who is determined eligible post the 1031 FNS guidance that went out. Does that sound good to you?
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Those are important questions. And thank you, Beth.
All right. Any other questions? We have a few more minutes, and I know that was a lot of content. Give it a couple moments of awkward pause, just in case those questions are stirring. I quickly want to call out, and I probably do this every month, the last few months, but just the participation level for this meeting has been great. And given the hot topics, it's understandable, but just want to really express appreciation from us all to you, that this space is yours, and it wouldn't be here if you all didn't show up. So we appreciate you. I know that we also have a feedback link that we're going to include in the minutes, that if you have any, or right there, because Crystal's amazing, right there in the chat. If you have suggestions for future topics or questions or other thoughts, that evaluation tool is really helpful to us to be able to know how to best serve you through this space as well. And
I also want to toss in, often y'all know before we do who's missing. So if you are connecting with someone and you realize they don't attend, please feel free to tell them about this meeting. Often supporting populations crosses into a number of different needs and topics. So I encourage you not to assume that someone would or wouldn't be interested in this meeting just because of what, you know, the population they support or concentrate on. And we love having those inclusions, especially for those smaller kind of community-based and small city-based organizations. We are here to inform and answer their questions as well.
I see a hand. Is it Donesia?
It's Danisha, thank you. Just have a quick question. Are we going to be forwarding out the new meeting series for this? Just the community partners that I serve, I want to make sure they get it for the following year.
Great call out in Write in Queue. Yes, I probably would have forgotten had you not said something. So yes, we will. We recognize that we're nearing the end of this series. So you can expect, I think we have, just next month planned. So you can expect within the next month or so to get that new meeting series. And as Mayora said, please share that out to the folks that you're connected and network with, other organizations, so that others can join in on the fun as well. Great. All right. Well, if that is it, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Thank you all again for being here. We'll send the recording and the minutes out to you within the next week or so. Really appreciate you all and the wonderful work that you all are doing. Thank you.